What is up, everybody? Hello, hello, hello. Say hi in the chat, and I'll try to say hi back. If I can pronounce your names, half of you I can't. All right, so we're going to get started here. I'm going to let people start to filter in. Hello, Offdoll, Aman, Wolf. Here's my code. What's up, Snake One, or Snack One, or Snack Own, or whatever. What's up, Archie? Ahmed, what's going on? All right, I'm going to focus on my other monitor for a second here before we get started. Hello, hello, hello. Let's go to live streaming. What's up? All right. Okay, we got 67 people in here currently. All right, guys. Okay. All right, so for those of you who don't know, the Negative Space is just a name for the show where I critique people's designs that are submitted in my Discord server. So for today's episode, we're doing something unique, something I haven't done before. A lot of people would gripe and complain to me that, unfortunately, you know, I spent a lot of time on the desktop critiques, the desktop user interface designs, and not on the mobile UI design side. So that's what I'm focusing on today. So if we get enough submissions to where I can just knock out critiques and reviews of mobile UI designs, and it could be a responsive website if your website's responsive, or it could be just a prototype, maybe in Figma or Adobe XD. Submit them in my Discord server. The link's in the YouTube description. You just go to my Discord server. If you haven't been there yet, you'll be thrust into the roles thing here, channel, and then you'll have to choose one of these emoticon reacts. You have to click it, and then that will open up all the other channels, and then you can go to the feedback channel right here and submit it. And I will get to it if I have enough time. I do this for 1 hour. And if you really want me to get to it no matter what, then you can submit a super chat, which is in the chat area of, there's a little money sign of YouTube. And then you could just mention your Discord username and I'll get to it. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. So I announced this about an hour ago, so I already have some submissions going. So let's see, right here. Okay, so I've created a new subdomain for my website, which is fully responsive for mobile platforms. All right, well, let's check it out. I have seen this one in the past. I think I reviewed this site multiple times. But here's the desktop version. But again, we're not interested in a desktop for this particular review. We want to see what happens when we get into the more mobile space. All right, so as I come down here, this is more like a tablet size. All right, so I think on a tablet size at least, this could probably be moved over just a tad bit, so it's not hugging the side quite as much. But that, again, that's a minor critique. But coming down here to mobile, and if I really wanted to emulate an exact mobile size, we can go to the Dev Tools here, and I can click on here. There we go. Let's get this pulled over, and there we go. So this is what it looks like on mobile. Here's the problem, though. It's real small on the screen, so you guys probably, you know, can't see it quite as well. So I'm just going to get out of here. We could still emulate mobile just by dragging this in right here. Now we can see it much larger. So looking at this, everything is followed here pretty well, at least up here, in terms of good design. And it was I know I mentioned this before. I would strongly suggest getting a different logo. I think it would really help everything a little bit more so. It just, the font's a little bit strange, and I don't really understand what's happening here with this symbolism, so I would change that up. This graphic is okay. Supercharged service, you know, I might take this and push it down just a tad bit more from the actual illustration. Coming down here to start now, this start now text could be a little bit larger. Hovering over this, you can see the orange border underneath it. That kind of doesn't work well with this blue color. Now coming down here, this seems way too small and not enough contrast. So I'd probably increase the font size at least, and then maybe boost up the contrast or make it a little bit darker, just a bit. Now coming down here, we have major issues with contrast. So the select the plan here, can't really see this. This does not contrast enough. So if you don't want to change the background, then you have to make this foreground darker, not white. Because this one especially is really hard to read. All right. Let's see here, coming down. Yeah, so other than that, pretty solid though. If we're just talking about, you know, mobile concerns only, this is done quite well. Collapsing this graphic right here makes sense. Having your headline, subheadline, and start now, that makes sense. All right, so what do you guys think this person should get for a rating? We're going to do a 1 to 10 rating, where in the chat you can go ahead and give me your opinion. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. I'm not going to look at what you guys say in the chat because I don't want to be influenced for the mobile design and what you think. And then in 10 seconds, I'll give you my own little rating on screen. So do that now. What do I want to rate this? It has a lot going right for it and just a few things that aren't really adding up. I'm going to say a... Oh no, hold on. I have to get my rating thing up and running. 1 second. There we go. Let's try that again. I'm going to say I think like 6.8. Yeah. All right. Let's see what you guys said. All right, 7, 7, 6, 8, 7, 7, 7. Yeah, you guys are pretty much agreeing. Some 4s. We got a couple 4s in there. All right. Yeah, I'm going to say like 6.8. That's what I think. All right, good stuff. Thank you for the submission. Let's keep on going. So who is up next? I'm just going to take them in the order that they come. If I receive a super chat, you'll get thrust to the very beginning. All right, so let's see here. There's a tic-tac-toe. I'm kind of hesitant on covering this one simply because it looks like it may have been from like a tutorial or something. But, I mean, if I'm honest, this is very boring right here. This is extremely boring. I guess it works functionality-wise, but it is very obviously monochromatic and pretty boring. No separation between visual hierarchy when we're talking about play. Play is like the thing that should really stick out more so than the other buttons. Options and quit is more of an afterthought, much more of an afterthought. Hitting play here, though, you know, again, this works or whatever, but... Again, there's just not really a lot for me. I'm usually not critiquing games, so we're probably just going to skip over this one anyhow. So let's go ahead and just continue on with this anyhow. Where am I at? Tic-tac-toe. Coming soon page for a startup. Let's check that one out. All right. So here's the desktop version. It's kind of like a strange font occurring here. I like this whole sidebar thing with the photograph. I like that well. The NC logo, I like the positioning. I think we're probably a little bit too low or not enough contrast on this stuff. So maybe bump it up just slightly and use one of the like contrast, this plugin. You can use this. That can help quite well. Figure things out in terms of your contrast. So if we take the foreground element and choose the color here, it says it fails. See, you're at 2.68. So you definitely want to bump that up. Outside of that, let's continue on and see what happens to the mobile. Okay. So they took the sidebar background and made it extend all the way, which I like that. That works. And then just contained this section here in its own panel. That works very well. So there's really nothing negative I could say about this in terms of how it went from, you know, the responsive aspect of at least. One thing right here, though, just a very minor gripe, is we have this amount of white space right here, and then we have this like double over here. So it would make sense to extend that out or just bring this in. I would probably bring this, probably extend this out just a little bit more. But that's it, yeah. So this is pretty solid. It's very simple. It's just a coming soon page. There's no navigation. But for what it is, what do you guys think this person should get for a rating? 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. You got 8 seconds. Floating labels here. Yeah, I'm gonna give this a 7. Yeah, it's pretty solid. Let's reset this. Okay. All right. Good stuff. Let's continue. Oh, wait, we had a, all right, Dark Code Lab. Did you mention your Discord username? I mean, obviously you didn't in your message. So if you wanted me to review your design, please mention your Discord username here in the YouTube chat. That way I'll get to it. Otherwise, if you were just giving me money to say thanks, thank you very much. Okay, so I'll be waiting for your mention right here. What was your name? Dark Code Lab. Go ahead and mention that. So let's continue on with the next one. We have gradients.design. That's an interesting domain. So we have, I designed this app together with my girlfriend. We're not sure how we can design the color selection well for mobile design. Some devices are too big, some too small. A review would be great. Check out the mobile about page, especially designed for mobile. Okay. All right, so loading up on my other monitor. All right, so we have one of these tools. It's like a gradient selection tool. All right, so let's check out mobile. All right. So I'd probably push this down just a tad bit more. It's a little bit scrunched up here. Not too much though, but maybe just almost maybe around twice the amount. Let's see how this works, by the way. Okay, so you're just kind of clicking on these and it gives you a preview of the gradients. Okay. All right, just checking this stuff out here. Simple footer. It's a little bit cramped up here though. So I would space these things out quite a bit. So like this what is that part should be pushed way down further from 2019. And again, this is just, you know, minor footer stuff. Let's check out this part. I'm not sure why there's a hamburger right here, and that's kind of confusing. There's one right here and one right here, so I'd probably change that up. I would probably put the social icons, just put them like to the right and left of each other because it's a little bit weird where they're all on their own space here around what do you call horizontal path or line. Also, I would probably separate this a little bit, have its own like a different color, like the background for the navigation, just because it looks very wordy. You have your logo, and then you have the link right underneath it, so it's a little bit cluttered and kind of confusing about where the menu starts and where it doesn't. Other than that, pretty solid. You wanted me to check out the About Us page, so let's do that. Okay. I like the color here. Nice gradient. It makes it relevant because this is a gradients website. Looks pretty solid overall. This is a little bit strange though. Like notice the white space between here and the edge of the device, and then the white space between the yes and the no button. I know sometimes when you're dealing with like CSS frameworks, sometimes they add those padding on top of on specific elements, and I know maybe that wasn't intentional, but still there is padding here or margin of some sort, which is throwing off the flow of this column here. All right, so what do you guys think this person should get for a rating for their UI design for gradient.design? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Let me know. You have 10 seconds. Go. Oh, thanks, Dark. You just wanted to donate. Thank you very much. For this design, what am I going to rate this? I think I'll rate this I'm going to say like a 6.5. Yeah. What do you guys say? 8.3, 6, 7, 6, 8, 9, 6, 8, 5, 8, 8. Okay. Jefferson, I'm going to be starting to work on my UI design course. It's not going to be so much UX, but very strongly emphasized on UI. All right, so let's continue on here. Who is next? Jolius.co.uk, if that's how it's pronounced. All right, how far have we? Oh, we're only at 16 minutes. Okay. All right, so welcome to Jolius, an open development team. We got a little lettermark-based logo here. Sort of gets lost though with these the same colored sort of circles in the background. Let's see what happens in mobile. Obviously, not much is going to change because it's so simple. So this just collapsed into a hamburger icon menu. You could probably get away with even not having to use that hamburger menu. If you changed like on mobile, if you just changed who is Jolius just to a who and a question mark, and then change feature just to projects, and then Discord just to Discord. That way you would have enough space here to still right align these with the small logo over here, and then you wouldn't have to have this hamburger menu because you would have enough space. And then you would be removing one extra click for the user, which is always a good thing. Less clicks is better to access things. Outside of that, let's scroll down here a bit. All right, so that's a little strange. Everything was going pretty well, although this is pretty sparse right here. This is a lot of white space that's not really doing much. But this, especially with this, see how this is like an arc here, and then we come to empty space, nothing's in it, and then we just have this straight line. It kind of throws off the flow of the layout a bit. And I don't even know why this is here, like Season of Spooks something. Like, why do I want to watch this? What does it have to do with an open development team? So right now there's an issue in terms of one subset of UX design, which is information architecture, and that is educating your user about what exactly is happening here. I mean, you're telling us an open development team, but what exactly does that mean? So this part coming down here, this almost looks like an ad too, by the way. It's just kind of thrown there. Not enough white space between this right here, this headline, and this description. So push things down, this part down away from that a little bit more. Join the Discord community. That's okay. It's I probably might want to make this bold or even make it into more of a button-based design, or underline it. That's fine. I like this section. This works pretty well, the way this is designed. All right. So what do you guys think this person should get for a rating for their mobile-based UI design? How's your alcohol problem going, Gary? That's hilarious. So on 1 being the worst and 10 being the best, Let me know what you guys think. What do you want? Say it louder. What? When I'm done. When I'm done. My kids are asking me questions. I'm gonna rate this right here. I really like the color scheme and overall. Boy, we're getting entries that are all around the same rating. I'm gonna say again. Probably like a 6.8. That's what I'm gonna say. Maybe even a 7. So let's reset that. Oops. Reset, dude. All right, there we go. Definitely a 5. This part is throwing it off quite a bit. If we got rid of this, it would be probably even a little bit higher. But yeah, thanks for the submission. To answer that person's question, how is my alcohol problem going? I stopped drinking 2 months ago, 8 weeks, almost exactly. Last night was Halloween, and I told myself, if I can't have at least just a few drinks when people are over my house, like family and stuff, and not be able to have drinks, you know, and have it not turn into a situation where, oh, I'm going to start drinking like half the week or whatever, then I'm a failure. So I did have a few drinks last night for the first time in 2 months. And you know what? I kind of regretted it because I felt kind of like I only had 4 drinks. That's not very much. It gave me a small buzz. I woke up at like 5 a.m. and I had to pee, and like before this I didn't have I would sleep throughout the whole night, and so it's nice having just nice sleep. And when you drink, you don't really get great sleep. So I'm definitely not going back to my old ways. I'm just going to keep it at, you know, if it's a rare occasion, I will drink alcohol. All right, good old Cliff Burton, yes, for sure. Okay, let's continue on. I am a React Native developer. I designed this app for a university project. All right. Okay, so what is happening here? Posh. Okay. A little bit boring, and there's an issue definitely with let's see, welcome, get the best catering services in town. It seems like this is like maybe a splash page or something. Hit continue. All right, so here's the main UI design as it stands. Okay, so all right, so this menu is not too bad. That works. Login seems to be pretty large text for what it is. I would probably scale that down just a bit. Looking at this part, these cards. Fairly decent, but the subtext, this caterers and decorers, you can barely see it. You have to bump up that contrast a lot for that to work. All right, so we click on that. I can't scroll down or anything. This part is pretty boring. It's very sparse. Package 1 is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when you're using like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 type of bullet points or whatever, in the manner that you did at least, the spacing between the first letter is all thrown off, so it doesn't look good. Packages, this blue text sitting on top of this gray, this mid-gray, doesn't really contrast that well, so I would change that into something that contrasts higher. How do I get back to the original? Oh, right there. So yeah, again, there's not much happening here for me to really sit here and give a really thorough review. I would say featured and explorer are probably too large. You want to scale those down so that your emphasis is on the actual content and not the labels themselves. So yeah, we'll do a rating with this, 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. The link to the Discord server is in the YouTube description of this video, so, or any of my other videos. It's always added to the description. For this, because it is pretty bland in some of the parts, you know, especially the beginning, it was very boring. I'm gonna go ahead and rate this a 5.6 or so. Yeah, like a 5 or so. All right. 2. A couple people said 2. You're getting smashed in the comments, man. Okay. Keep at it, though. I mean, you got a lot of the basics right. Hello, can I post a picture? I haven't uploaded my website. Yes. Yes, you can. All right, so let's see what's happening here. We got 250 people watching. We're at 25 minutes so far. By the way, everybody, I'm going to pause for a second of the reviews, and I want to mention, if you've been watching any of my other videos lately, you know that I've been pushing for 500,000 subscribers. I think I'm at like 463,000 right now. I get anywhere between 500 new subscribers a day to 1,000 or whatever. Once I get to 500,000, I'm going to be releasing this track I'm working on. Because you guys have all seen my guitars in the background. Right now you don't see them, obviously. And I'm doing a guitar reveal, but it's a full track. I'm almost done. I'm almost finished with the track, and it's me jamming on a guitar, but it's in the 80s retro wave genre of music. Very cool stuff. I'm excited, and I'm also putting together a whole music video for it. I got old PCs that I bought from the 80s. It's going to have a whole theme. Very excited about it. So definitely subscribe if you haven't yet. Hit that subscribe button because I'll be releasing that once I hit 500,000. Okay, let's continue on. App for Made Up News Company. All right. Okay, so first, kind of a strange background color choice based on the logo here. Especially the red in this part of the blue don't contrast really great. Other than that, very simple username, or email, password. Here's one thing to take note. If this is based on, let me just do something here. Okay, so what happens here is if somebody is entering a value on a text field where there's no label outside of it, like sitting at the top, and they only have to rely on placeholder values, then that poses a number of issues. Some people can forget what they're entering, as strange as that sounds. And so right now it just says like DRE. It's like, what is this again for? What is this text field? What am I supposed to enter? A username or email or what? I don't know. So in order to find out, the person has to delete. And that's bad for UX. So as a rule of thumb, when it comes to UX and form design, you always want to have a label outside, and you shouldn't just rely on the placeholder values. Very important. So you definitely want to put like a white text label right here saying username or email or something like that. Outside of this button, or for first, this button should change the cursor to pointer, the little hand icon. Right now it's not. All right, starting off here. Now I know because you have the hamburger menu right here, left align, it's pushing your center align, the name or the logo or whatever to the right. It's offset to the right though, and it doesn't really look good. So I would account for that, but push this back over here. Generally speaking, you can't go wrong if you just go to the traditional, align the logo or the name to the left, and take this hamburger icon menu and line it to the right over here. All right, so let's look at this part. This is very blocky in the way this has been designed, with 3 different rows, 2 columns here, both designed in different colors and such. And so I think this could probably be simplified if you rethought the design process of these cards. I would say this part in down is good. And I would probably just take this image and extend it all the way, maybe make it background size cover in CSS. And that way it just takes up this whole part, and then take the name where it says header and then just put it on top of this description. I think that would simplify things a bit better. Other than that, good white space. Not too certain about the drop shadow here. It's probably unnecessary. You can get rid of that. All right, so what do you guys think this person should get for a rating? 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. $11. Are you the guy who submitted this? Oh, man. I'm tired, dude. All right. I am going to say for this, I'm going to say about a 5.6 or 7, 5.8. Yeah, around there. Let's see what you guys said. Well, it seems like I was a little bit too harsh compared to most people. A 9, 7, 8. Okay. Got a few 5s, 6s. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So let's continue on. Thank you for the submission. My personal website, ZachCoding.com. All right, here we go. All right. We got some sparkling. We got like nightlight, starry, sparkling stars. Okay, so Zach Coding. This is this right here. This text is coming out a little bit blurry. So I would re-examine my choice there for that for the font. Home, who am I, skills, portfolio, experience, testament. By the way, in terms of UX, having a home makes sense. So you should always include a home button. People are always looking for your home button. But let's see what the what happens when we go to mobile. So everything collapses into, and there's a ton of links here, so that makes sense to definitely do that. I'm left wanting something here in the upper left though, so having the name probably makes sense in the upper left. And by the way, that way, it makes sense from a UX standpoint to just have your Zach Coding up here in the upper left, the name, because nobody really cares about the name. Somebody who's a potential client who's going to your website, they don't care about this big, large Zach Coding name right here. This is valuable screen real estate in a sense, your headline. And you could say something and you could use that space much more intelligently to really speak to that potential client. So ad copy, you know, again, this is more of a UX critique. You definitely want to change that up for sure. This hamburger icon menu is kind of it's kind of large, but it's really smashed up here to the upper right and top without much white space from the device edge. So I take that and push that away quite a bit more. All right, so this here is a big issue. Notice how we have all this space here, and it's just like there's this massive empty space right here. Also, I wouldn't sticky this without at least having a black background nav bar, because now it's just like floating there and it's going to be on top of your images. So you definitely don't want that. This stuff could all be centered here on the mobile view, which is what we're critiquing today, just mobile only. So definitely center this stuff. And you know, you have your picture here. You want to push this text down a lot more. It's too close and jammed up there. Your download resume, again, that could be a button that just goes, you know, from here all the way to here. This being right aligned doesn't really make sense. I can see how this is left aligned, this one's right. Just center them. Now this you centered, so that's better. Probably get rid of these little tidbits here, the little borders. They're unnecessary. But coming down here. By default, these are just too dark when you're not hovering over them. And of course, when you're in mobile, you don't even have hover. So they're going to be kind of way too dark. So I'd make them come out full like this. Full brightness and contrast. And then if you want to have the name, you can put it down below and do it in like a card style design. All right, so what do you guys think this person should get for their mobile UI design? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. There's a lot of issues with alignment here. I'm going to say like a 4.5. So just address those few issues. I would change this type, take Zach coding, your logo, put it up here, change the headline, and work on your alignment issues over here for sure. All right. So let us continue on. Somebody said, wow. All right. No, you got to keep trying. There's definitely things happening right here. But there was just, a bunch of issues. This one, especially with the hamburger floating like this, definite no's here occurring. But the good thing is, if he changed those and integrated those changes, which he could do in a matter of an hour or two, you could bump up like a 4.5 rating, at least in my opinion, to like a 6.57. So don't let that, like a low rating, discourage you at all. All right. Wow, we're at the end almost of our list here. Okay, well, whatever then. Guys, if you have any type of site that you design and it has a mobile UI, submit it then here in Discord. Let's check this one out. And then if we get to the end of the list, it's no big deal. I can just sit and we could just do a Q&A for the remaining session or something like that. For whatever we have remaining. How long have we been doing this? 36 minutes. So yeah, we're pretty good anyway. Let's check this out. Hey, you can't find the feedback link. Chigbu, if that's your name. I'm not sure how to pronounce this. You have to click the emoticon and react in rules. So like click on one of these in the rules channel if you first join, and then it will come here. So you have to join Discord first, of course. And that Discord link is in the YouTube description. Okay, so let's continue on. Where is this at? All right, so this is an Adobe XD prototype. Writing tech in Nepal. Okay, these buttons, the continue with Facebook and Google, you could probably increase the size based on the edge of the device here because they're a little bit small. Center this up more because there's a lot of space over here, not enough over here. Let's hit skip. All right. I'm going to make this a little bit larger. I collapse this. Okay, good. All right, so I'm kind of liking what I see. I wish there was a different color for the non-design part, but that's fine. Let's click that. Pretty solid menu design going on here. Welcome, and then, okay, so I'll probably scale down the size of this welcome text because it's almost the same size as trending, so it's just creating an issue with the visual hierarchy just a tad bit. I would scale down this size just a bit more of that type up here where it says welcome. Big news, world link. Okay, the title, I'd probably extend up this gradient that you have here a little bit higher into the image so that you could definitely read stuff like big news in terms of this graphic here or this photograph. Coming down here, issue slightly again with separating your visual hierarchy, your type-based elements. Latest stories is good. Gadgets is good compared to that, but then this, trying to think of how you could probably restructure this design so that it makes a little bit more sense. I'm not even sure why you have gadgets here in the first place. Auto swings. It seems like a category or something that you have for each one of these. The category is not as important as the title, yet the category has much larger text than the title. So I would shrink down the size considerably, maybe to the size of 5 minutes ago where it says gadgets, and then make the title here maybe bold, and that way the more prominence is given to the title. All right, so here's one of the article specific pages. Your type for your paragraphs here could probably benefit by having a little bit more line height between them, just a tad bit more. This seems a little bit scrunched up, just a tad bit. It's a small gripe though. You could probably also put more space between your photographs here and the content, like especially at the top. There's hardly any space, so more white space on the top and bottom just makes it easier to follow along. But yeah, pretty solid otherwise. What do you guys think this person should get for a rating? 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. I like the sticky footer down here too. That works. I'm going to say for this, I think around a 7 or maybe a 6.9 or so. Let's reset this. All right, what'd you guys say? Pretty much the same thing for the most part. All right. If you need content, this is my previous app, but for web with mobile-ish responsive. Oh wait, there was somebody here. Was this, did I do this one? Oh, okay. I think I got a couple more. Let me see here. Okay. The next one is right here. Woo, okay. So I remember seeing this one previously, but I never reviewed it. At least I don't think I did. Maybe I did. At least here on desktop, we got some issues because this welcome to my development world is completely lost with this massive illustration. So the illustration needs to become more of an afterthought and maybe pushed more over to the right. And then this needs to come out much more, the welcome to my development world. I also don't know about skewing it slightly as you have, and this serves no purpose either. The hover effect wouldn't do that, just because it adds more of a distraction more so than anything. So the illustration itself needs work as well. The 0, 1s and the icons of the different technologies that you have here don't really work well together because there's a lot of contrast in the 0s and 1s and the binary stuff and in themselves, and it makes it hard to follow. Let's check out and see what's happening though just on mobile because we are focusing on mobile. Again, welcome to my development world could be much larger. Quite maybe almost twice as large as it is now, and it's hard to really read it, especially see work, the call to action button, when you have these 0, 1s way in the background. I mean, you can keep them as a watermark, but they have to be even less opacity than they are now. So you want to put like a 0.05 opacity on these so that your important stuff, the headline and the call to action, sticks out more. Scrolling on down here. So like red and green traditionally, unless you're going for Christmas, like if you have a Christmas theme going on, probably they're not good color choices to work with. So I would definitely change this greenish teal color and red, and then red. I mean the colors, if we're just talking about the color up here, is fine, but I would change this red to something else because it's a little bit too busy with the colors here. Outside of that, this text, push that down from this little logo here. I wouldn't even include this logo though. You're having a logo up here. People don't care about seeing your logo over and over. What would make more sense in an About Me page would be like a photograph of yourself or something like that. A download resume, I would this doesn't even make sense to put your social media links here right next to it, especially with no white space between these elements. So you have yourself a lot of work here, and what I would suggest doing for somebody who's probably new to UI design is going back to the drawing board and take a look at inspiration sites for like mobile UI designs and UI design in general. And also when I release it, my very awesome UI design course. All right, so what do you guys think this person should get for a rating? 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. All right, I'm going to give this a 3. I think this one I'm going to do. Yeah, a 3 would probably be a pretty solid score for this rating. And again, just don't let that discourage you. Again, just go back to the basics for sure. And try to simplify more so than try to do complex things like this. All right. Let's continue. Who's up next? Is this the one I just did? Yeah, it is. Okay. Unfortunately, let me click Open Original and see if I can get a better view of this. Unfortunately, you've kind of squashed the quality here, and it's not. I can't even really see it. So, unfortunately, I have to skip that one. Let's see here. McNaig, only because I did one of years before, I'm going to continue on here to other ones. Let's check this one out. I'm opening this up into my other monitor. I'm going to have to use Google Translate on this one, that's for sure. Translate. All right, so this right here, what the heck? Oh, this might be because of where this person's located around the world, where I know things get flipped in terms of like reading alignment and from right to left and left to right. So maybe this makes sense to have the scroll bar on the left. But if you have any United States visitors, they're going to be like, whoa, wait a second, what's going on here? They're used to having the scroll bar on the right. So that's throwing me off big time. It seems like everything's just flipped. Like the hamburger's on the left, logo's on the right. Again, I need to research more into practices around the world in terms of, you know, how sites are structured, because this is just kind of, I'm going to ignore that part for the review. One thing, though, I can tell you that is objectively wrong is the amount of space you have delegated for the header navbar part, the logo, and then the hamburger icon menu. This is just way too much. You need to push that thing way up, get this button away from the scroll bar because it's right up against it. So this is a little bit strange too. You don't want that to happen, where it says security application overlining with your logo. Definite no. Good white space around this area at least. All right, so what do you guys think this person should get for a rating? 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. I'm gonna have to say a 3. Now again, when I do use Google Translate, sometimes that can throw off the layout. Maybe it could have screwed it up unintentionally. So I'm not sure though. -3. Okay. All right, let's continue on. I designed this architecture discovering feed app with brutal plus minimal design. Brutal lists. Sure that has 2 L's? Maybe it's like the thing. Oh, that's kind of cool. All right. I'm not too certain about the type choice though. A little bit blockish, and let's continue on if I can. I'm trying to discover where I'm supposed to go. Okay. I'm not sure why this changes all of a sudden when I click it. Just it changes out the borders. I'm not sure what what exactly is happening. Like why those things are happening. And what is this download button here for? Set lock screen, set home screen, set both. I have no clue what's happening here. Like, why do you have those buttons there? And why is there a move button? Why does the move button take you back to the home page or whatever this splash screen is? I have no clue what's happening here. I mean, the animations are kind of cool, but I don't really understand the purpose. Looking at the design in and of itself, again, we have an issue with kind of letting us know that, again, your comment was that this is architecture discovering feed app. I mean, I understand architecture can have, can be very abstract, and maybe you're doing the same thing with the app. But at the same time, if people are just trying to look at architecture, they're probably not trying to figure out the app as well, if you know what I mean. So I would revisit. I would go back to the drawing board on this one. Other than that, I could see, just looking purely as, the design and the colors and the layout, it is definitely interesting, but I just think it's probably the wrong choice for this type of project. People probably want to stick more with the familiarity of an app, of a feed type app, where you just have a list and that is easily accessible. All right, so what do you guys think this person should get for a rating? 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. We'll do this for probably about 8 more minutes because we're almost coming up on an hour. I'm going to say 4.5-ish or so. The main thing that's taken away from the score is just the UX aspect, of course, like people mentioned. Let's continue on. Thank you for the submission either way. It's always good to think outside of the box, but sometimes you go too far and it's just like, oh no. All right. Next up here, let's see. Hello, I'm blah, blah, blah. Okay, so what we have here is 3 different types of text, and they're all structured very similar. They have around the same font size. These 2 are the same font. Looks like it's Montserrat. And then this is a different font. I understand you're trying to get more of like a console sort of font. But the problem is they're all too similar. So you're not sure, like, where the hell am I supposed to look? Like, if I take the Chrome DevTools and I structure this, like, if I make this one just a little bit larger, all of a sudden the UI looks, or the design itself looks a lot better. So like, we'll do like, also move that down a little bit, and now we've improved it a lot from where it was. So this is what I changed it to, but if I refresh it, we'll see the original. And it's like, I don't know what's happening. It's like, I don't know where I'm supposed to look. So that's an issue. That was a visual hierarchy issue. Outside of this part, again, it's like, okay, so let's scale this in because we're looking at just the mobile. This is barely, I can't even really see it. So put that to the right and make it actually white so you can really see this. Okay. This right here is definitely not, probably no thought was put into this in terms of making this responsive. So of course, if somebody visited this on their phone and they see this, they're like, there's hell no, I am not hiring this guy who has this. Again, maybe you didn't pay attention to this, or you haven't really worked on the mobile responsiveness part, but these should be, on their own columns, spread out. Oh my God, what has happened here? Bro! Maybe you didn't know I was critiquing just the mobile aspect, but this is a no-go. Yeah. Definitely, I'm just going to make the assumption that he didn't work on this part, and maybe he's going to get to it. Anyhow, we have to do a rating. 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. For this one, we might have to do -10 being the worst and 10 being the best. And I'm not being fair. I'm just sitting on this part right here. I'm going to give you got a form down here. The form actually, it works. I'm going to give it a 1.5. So unfortunately, I think that might be our worst rating ever. Now look at this one. My project's because it's 2 lines. It's like falling down here. So yeah. Again, I'm just gonna, for his sake, I'm gonna say he probably didn't get to the mobile parts first. Obviously, nobody would do this intentionally. Okay, so don't let that rating make you cry too much. All right, we're gonna do, I think maybe one more. Shoot, who did I do next? Okay, I think I did his. That's that one. Okay. We'll do. Love to hear your opinion. Okay. In motion. All right. Let's go to mobile. Collapsing the nav. Okay, that works. Check that out. That works. One slight comment would be try to keep the X, the closeout button, in the same position and the same, or roughly the same size as the menu. Again, that's just a small concern. Coming down here, you can read this. You can still see very subtly, the photograph-based watermark in the background. That pretty much works. Coming down here. I probably wouldn't change it to this though, on hover, although on mobile you don't really have hover. The large shadows coming off of this part, I would probably change that up. You don't really need that too much. But in terms of the mobile UI, the readability of everything, pretty solid. This, of course, must be some sort of padding being added onto the form element here. So, of course, this looks bad because it's shifting everything to the right. So you want that to be equal white space from the right and left. Also, the send button, this button right here, you want to change that so that this button right here, the text, is vertically aligned, centered in this button container. Again, down here we have an issue. Probably not much thought has probably gone into this part, but we could see clearly there's an issue here with this, your logo and these things collapsing into each other. So I would change that. But for the most part, everything here is pretty solid, and it works for mobile. So we'll do our last rating right here, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. And then if I have a couple more minutes, maybe I'll just do a quick, I'll hang out in the chat for a bit. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Vic, when it comes to these type of shadows that are like large, for me, I wouldn't say that they're objectively wrong. I just think the way that they've been applied here is just outdated in a sense. Drop shadows used to be a real popular thing like 2010 and before in this type of context. You can still use drop shadows, but it depends on how you have to know how to use them correctly. All right, so for this one, pretty solid for the most part, just small minor things. I'm gonna say a 6.9, 6.8. I'm only saying that because like this got really screwed up down here and this is completely off-centered. So yeah, solid otherwise. All right, so let's reset that. All right. Okay, so Yeah, we're coming up. Yeah, we're at an hour exactly. I have my kids here. My wife works on Thursdays and Fridays, and they're homeschooled. So I always tell them, like, dude, like, guys, you have to be quiet when I'm live streaming. I'm only doing it for an hour or so. Yeah, that's it. If I didn't get to your design, very sorry. There's always next time, which may be in a few weeks, which I usually do these every 2 to 3 or sometimes 4 weeks spaced apart. But yeah, very good. I'm probably going to have to get going because they're probably going to get antsy. They can't keep quiet for too long anyhow because they're 9 and 7 years old. And I'm surprised they've done this well anyhow. Like I said, another 3 or 4 weeks I'll do this. I used to do it every week when I had a sponsor. I don't have a sponsor for this now, so I don't. And you know what? Quite frankly, they're not that popular. But I did start changing up a couple things real quickly. Like I changed, like I would always give them the same title, the UI UX workshop episode, 20 or whatever. And what I realized, and I also give them the same thumbnail. I started changing the thumbnail and also trying to give them more of a unique title, because what happens is people will see it in their recommended feed and assume that they watched it already, because it's like the same title practically and the same thumbnail. So that's like, for any of you who have a YouTube channel, don't do that. I've been doing this for so freaking long and I'm still making stupid mistakes like that. So yeah. Oh, Nam, by the way, these YouTube automatically renders this entire video and then makes it available. So check back the channel in about an hour or two and it'll be up. All right. Clody, why are you saying poor kids? I get all defensive if people try to talk crap about homeschooling. Are you guys out there? All right, yeah, thank you very much, Manuel. All right, I'm going to get going. There's 300 people watching me, kind of talking about nothing. But yeah, it's been an hour. I'll see you guys later. And of course, as always, new videos coming your way this Monday probably. All right, see you guys later.